Welcome back to the channel. In the last video, we pulled the oil pan off and came across a piece of metal laying down in the oil pan. I asked everyone to leave a comment as to what they thought it was, and everyone unanimously said it was off the fuel pump. It's the drive. The other issue I had with it was the water that dumped out when I turned the engine over. And as it separates a little bit from the rust, you can see that there is antifreeze in there. We had about 2 or 3 days it didn't get out of the 20s. I also set a bottle of water there. That froze solid. The water out of the engine did not. So any concerns I had about the metal or the water in there is gone, so that's a good thing. So now I think what we're going to focus on is getting the intake, the exhaust off, the valve covers off, and I do want to lap in all the valves and then reset, put the valves back in and then set the valve lash on that. So let me get you in a stand and we'll get started on that. See how many of these will snap off. Work it back and forth a little bit. Try to break the rust up. That actually don't feel bad. That one's gonna come right out. I'm gonna get lucky with this one. Sometimes working with these exhausts, man, they can be a nightmare. You just gotta work it back and forth real slow. Of course, you usually go for the easy ones first, right? Yeah, a little crunchy, but it sounds all right coming out. This is what they use before they had little battery operated wrenches. I think it worked pretty good. I mean, you're not going to break a nut loose with it, but they do work good. Get it out of the way. And see if we didn't miss any nuts or bolts. I probably did. Yeah, 4 of them I missed, as a matter of fact. All right, let's give this another try. Now that I got all the bolts out, I hope. There we go. It's not too bad. Need to find some more room to set stuff down now. Pop our valve covers off. Yeah, see all the ATV around it. I have no idea why they use that much. Must have a problem with it leaking. Of course, prying up on it ain't gonna help a whole lot, is it? My. You can see some of it even got down on the inside a little bit. That's why I don't like to use it. Just use it sparingly. That's just not good. Put that much in there. And there's the second one. It looks pretty good inside. It really does. I'm happy with it. All right, with the covers off, we can look down inside. Everything in here actually looks fairly nice. It's clean. The only thing I don't care for, and I mean it's not an issue, is they put all this excessive sealant on there to try to keep it from leaking. And when you put way too much on, it just gets inside the engine. This is actually lipped over. Fortunately, it stayed there, but who knows how much even went in there. Not that big of a fan when you apply it thick like that. There's a place for it, time for it. I don't argue that at all. One of the bolts I pulled out of the oil pan, this is an oil pan? Some bolt was in the bottom. It actually pushed through black silicone right inside. But so what I want to do is I'm going to go ahead, get all the surfaces cleaned up, wire wheel, the top face up here, get it all cleaned up, and I'm just going to do that off camera. And when I get ready to start lapping the valves, I'll bring you back. All right, what I want to get done now is I want to get these valves lapped in. In order to do that, I got to take the springs off and get the keepers out to free up the valves. And I got a little handy magnet. Got both of them right there. And release. Now that valve should come up. There's a little bit of carbon buildup on there. This is actually an exhaust valve here. And to show you why I want to do this, if you look right around here, you can see that that valve isn't seating very well. It's got, I think it's more just oil or carbon built up on it. But I'm going to get it cleaned up and get everything to seat nicely. Now with this, I'm just going to use a fine. It's not like it's real bad, it's just cleaning it up. So I got a fine grit for lapping it in. And these valves are a little sticky. Not bad enough. I don't think I need to hit them on the wire wheel. So I'll put a little bit more on the seat. Now this is the, I just switched over to the coarser, and I cleaned everything off a little bit better, so hopefully it'll work better. But I won't have to glue my rubber pad here on there or something. And it'll do this for a little while until we get a clean seat on the valve. Well, we'll get a clean solid mark right around the valve and on the seat. Yeah, now she finally held up there. Alright, and if you can see here, you can see where it's getting shiny now, and it's consistent all the way around. So that's good. I might just hit it just a little bit more, assemble this one back up, and go right down. I'm not going to bother to pull them all out at one time. I'm going to do them individually, get it set back in, and then once that's all complete, then I'll go back and check the valve lash. You can see how it's nice and shiny in there, and the lighting might interfere with it a little bit, but it is actually clean all the way around there. So we got a good seat on that now. So I'm going to go ahead and repeat this process on the other 12 valves and get that finished up. Now for the fun part, it's going to be putting these keepers back in. And the end one here usually is the hardest to get to with the tool because it's tucked way back in there. Probably gonna get my fat head in your way here. You have to excuse me. Yeah, let me see if I got her. And that one's a go. And give her another look. And that don't look too bad. Do see some pitting right there in that seat that probably isn't the best, but it does seal below it, so I think we'll be all right. Not ideal, but I think we'll be all right with it. That's just to flush out some of the grit from the paste. That's all I'm doing with that. Then I'll spray some oil down in there to keep it from rusting. That one way up too high. I know my fingers are in the way of the camera. And it dropped one. Dropped the back side off of it. Still pushed it down. Sometimes I think I get a little too much grease in there, and that may not allow them to seat right. I don't know, but she ain't cooperating right now. And them arms in the way, I'm just going to try to roll it down and get her started. Then I'll release the handle. Then that'll do her, hopefully. Yep, she looks like she's in there. That's good. That one's done. All right, what I'm doing right now is I'm just setting the valve lash on it. The book is saying the intake is 10 thousandths and the exhaust is 15 thousandths, but that's at hot, when the motor's hot. It's not giving me a specification for cold. So I'm just going to get it set, going ahead and doing it at the 10 and the 15 for the exhaust. That should be more than fine to get it running, and then once we get the motor set back in the frame and get it running, I'll have easy access to pull the covers off and go ahead and do it when it's warmed up. So let me get you in the stand. I'm going to show you what I'm doing. I've already started, and you can see I had already marked an X on the valves that I've done, just because my mind doesn't remember that well, so I have to put a visual cue on what I did. So nothing wrong with that. But let me get you in the stand. I'll just give you a quick overview. Not overview, but just show you how I do them, and we'll go from there. All right, this is just going to be an exhaust valve, just using a 1/2 inch and a 7/16 and a 15,000 feeler gauge. So this one is in the closed position already, and actually that one feels really well. When I lapped the valves in, I didn't mess with any of the adjusters, so I'm not really finding much out of whack. Maybe 1 or 2 of them is all I found. So this is going to be the intake valve on the 6-cylinder, and it is in the closed position. And this one here, I cannot get my 10 thousandths feeler gauge in, so that is way out of whack. And that's not to say that somehow I didn't turn it while I was lapping the valves in. So all I'm going to do is I'm just going to give a simple, and get on there. So I'm just going to give her a little twist, tighten it up. Or actually, I'm going to go the other way, loosen it up here, because this one was loose. And now I'll take my 10 thousandths and see if I can get her in now. And all I'm looking for is a little drag. And once you get it open enough to get it in, you can leave the feeler gauge and kind of close it lightly on it. You know what? It might help if I turn it the right way. All right. So I'm going to leave my feeler gauge right there. Tighten it down. Maybe a hair more. A little more. too tight. All right, I'm gonna go with that. And again, once the motor's in and running, I'm not gonna have the cab defenders on or nothing like that when I get it in there, so I'll have good access. And then I'll redo them, as I mentioned already. So that's all I'm doing, just repeating these down the valves. I just got one more valve to do. And then I'm gonna roll the engine over. And debating on a few things on the inside of it, but let me finish this up and we'll get to that. All right, so the one thing I do want to do, just out of curiosity, I'm going to take this crossover tube off for the oiling system, just to make sure it is not blocked with sludge in it. Because the 230 engine, if you remember, I don't know if I showed it on video or not, but it was completely plugged. So I just want to just make sure, a little bit on the safe side is all. There was a little bit of sludge laying down in this oil pan, and that's the only reason I want to check it. Really, everything else I'm finding is it's really, I'm really happy with it. I was even contemplating pulling the caps off, main bearings, rods, using some plastic gauge. I mean, that's not the most accurate thing, but it gets you in a ballpark just to check wear. But with everything I'm seeing, I just don't think I'm going to do it. And even the rear seal, I don't even see signs of that leaking. And yeah, to be honest with you, I'm this far in, I probably should go ahead and do it, but I think I'm going to be okay with it like it is. Worst comes to worst, pull the motor back out, right? But as long as this isn't blocked, up, I think we're going to be okay. And I was also, the other part of that, checking the bearings, was to see if there was any scoring going on the bearings. But again, I think we're okay. Now, a lot of these engines, most people, if not, I don't know, I don't want to say all, but they say don't run a detergent oil in it, and I'm not sure why that is personally, but that's what they say. I probably will be running a detergent in this one here, but I could use the air hose, but I'm just going to clean the end up and give it a little puff test. Yeah, there ain't nothing in it, that's clear. So I'm going to get this back on and get her tightened down. And I think I'm going to go ahead and put the oil pan, got to clean it up a little bit yet, but I'm going to go ahead and put the oil pan back on this. Actually, I think I got to go get some more sealant. I think I'm out. I do have a gasket kit with it, but I think I'm going to get a little bit of that right stuff just to coat one side of it, help keep it in place. Doing my wrenches here, get her snug back in. And I think we're going to be just fine. You know, this video is actually going over a period of weeks, you know, come out, work on it when I have time. So I don't always remember what I had said in the previous clip. So if something is redundant, I'll just ask you to forgive me. But I did say that the pistons are 80 over. I knew they made 60, did not know they made an 80 over. So if this motor ever does get rebuilt again, it will end up probably having to be re-sleeved. Okay, what the plan is now is I'm going to take off the main bearing caps, and I'm going to go ahead and do a visual inspection on the bearings to see if there's any wear on it. And in addition to that, I do have some plastic gauge here to check the tolerance on it. Now, I know this is not the most accurate, not as accurate as using gauges, but we're not building a performance engine here either, so this will do just fine. The book says that the tolerance is between 1/2 thousandths to 1.5 thousandths. So if you look at the green and the red, the green is going to be 1 thousandths to 3 thousandths of an inch, and the red is going to be larger. It's going to be 2,000 to 6 thousandths of an inch. Also, if you flip them over, it's in the metric. So I'm going to get you set up in the stand, and we'll get right to it. And again, I'm just, for the purpose of filming, I'm just starting with one here that's easier to record. I'm probably not going to record all of it. That'll probably bore you to death. And I don't really see any visible wear on it. So just going to wipe off the oil off the top of it. I don't know if I like that. I don't know if I like that at all. I don't know if it's just showing up on camera right here. But you can see a little discoloration. At first I couldn't feel it. But as I drag my fingernail, what little bit I have of them left, I can feel something barely. Let's go ahead and put in a piece of the plastic gauge. So very carefully, what I'm going to do is set this down on that plastic gauge. And it's very important not to rotate the crank. So I'm just going to run these down, snug them up, and then break out the torque wrench. And I'm going to do it in about three even segments, I guess is the word I'm looking for. According to the book, the main bearing caps, they're supposed to be torqued down to 80 foot-pounds. So I want to start, let's do 30, 30, and then we'll go up to 80. I'll go up to 60. And now we'll run it up to 80. It's 80 to 85. I'm going to go to 80. All right, there's 80. And now I'll break them loose again. And now look on the bearing, you can see the mark, and on the crank. Yeah, it's not one, it's a little big. It's a little bigger than the one, but it looks like it matches up pretty good, pretty close to the 1.5, which is the max allowance tolerance on this engine. But again, as I was saying, the concern I have is right there. Yeah, I can feel it with my finger, and I don't like that. So I'm gonna say that's on the max, right on the max as far as the size, at 1.5. And again, plastic gauge is not the most accurate. Anyway, I'm going to get a clean paper towel, clean that up, get this back on, and I'm going to repeat the process through the rest of them and see where we're at. Alright, you saw me take off the one main bearing cap, and I used some plastic gauge on it, and it was at the max limit for wear at 1.5. So I mean, that was okay, but the issue I'm having is I didn't even bother to use plastic gauge on the other one. And I'll just give you a quick example. This is the rear main cap journal, and you can see where it's just kind of pitted up, and it really needs attention. And also on a couple other connecting rods, it's the same thing. So at this point, I think it's a no-go. I'd be back in here no time at all. So this engine is going to get to the machine shop to get the crank turned. It might need some line honing, I don't know. The number 5 connecting rod, I pushed that out. Now, you know what? It was the number 6 connecting rod. I tell you, I should have took a picture of it. I didn't, but it really looks like the bearings are actually a little bit too long, too big for that. So, and that's even a little bit scored up, and that might be the reason. Not sure about it, but regardless, it doesn't matter at this point. The other thing I did is the in-play in the crank. The max in-play on the crankshaft going front and back is 7 thousandths of an inch. This has 12 thousandths, so we're way over on that. And this is the that's skipping my mind at the moment, but this is the bearing that sets your in play, your thrush bearing. So, and you can see there's some damage on this, and to be honest with you, I don't even know what that's from, but it is worn out, so it is going to need all new bearings. And at that point, I'll probably just get them to rehone also, and take a look at the block. And so this is probably going to be the last video on this engine for a while. The next thing I'm going to do, I'm just going to button this up a little bit and get it ready to take down there, but I'm not, it might be a couple weeks before I get there. But the one thing I do want to do, sitting over there, the brown Chevy truck, I want to get that running. That's been setting, I don't know, it's 2005, it's the last inspection sticker on it. I don't know the last time it ran, to be honest with you. I want to get it running so I can at least yard drive it, get it in and out of here. Take the 39, put it over on that side. That way I can access the grease pit underneath of it. So anyway, thank you for sticking in to the end with me. If you like this video, please hit the subscribe and the like. I do appreciate that, and I'll see you on the next video.